This is the second video exploring the real-life inspiration behind an Age of Empires 4 civilization. This time, we will dive deeper in the Chinese civ units, buildings, and mechanics. Before we get started, if you like this content, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel to show your support and help me out. Before anything, I just want to say I'm really sorry if I mispronounced any word in English or, of course, in Chinese. In the new Age of Empires 4, the Chinese evolve in dynasties beside ages. I think this is a very interesting historical feature, so let's see briefly what these dynasties are about. You start in the Tang Dynasty, which historically took place between 618 and 907. The Li family founded this dynasty, inaugurating a period of progress and stability in the first half of the dynasty's rule. Historians regarded the Tang dynasty as a high point in Chinese civilization, where its culture flourished and it's considered the greatest age for Chinese poetry. Furthermore, many innovations in different areas took place in this period. The 7th and the first half of the 18th century are considered to be an era in which the Tang reached the zenith of its power. In the game, while in the Tang dynasty, your scouts have 30% greater line of sight. I think this bonus could be related to the advances in cartography during these times. In 785, the Emperor Zhuge ordered the completion of a map of China and her former colonies in Central Asia. Upon its completion, that map was around 9 meters in length and 10 meters in height. Unfortunately, the map is today lost. In the Tang dynasty, we can start producing Imperial officials, a unique and very important unit to the Chinese in the game. You can only have 4 of those, and they boost your unit's production, resources output, and research. Furthermore, they can also collect tax from buildings. These imperial officials have been based on the scholar official. Scholar officials were government officials and prestigious scholars in Chinese society, forming a distinct and elite class of Imperial China. They dominated the government administration and local life of China until the early 20th century. They were selected through the civil service examination and appointed by the emperor. It was very difficult to even be considered as a candidate to be able to write the exams. Many were definitely excluded from taking the test, including women, sex workers, slaves, boat people, low-level government employees, certain ethnic groups or castes, butchers, sorcerers, and etc. Even physicians could have a hard time there. Students that could pass the exam were called jinchi, the highest degree, something like a modern PhD. These men would also have long nails as a way to show their distance from manual labor. Only a very few scholars could reach an official position in the government. The majority of the scholar literati stayed in villages as social leaders. Here is where you can see the similarities with the game unit. In the villages, these scholars helped to negotiate minor legal disputes, conducted ceremonies, maintained local law and order, preached, and, more important to us, supervised projects and assisted in the government's collection of taxes. Oh, by the way, I found out there was a single woman able to become a scholar. It was Fu Shangxiang. She was also the first and the last woman to achieve the highest score on the highest level of the Imperial examination. Another interesting point, later in the game you can see these officials wearing some long clothing with 2 cranes on their chests. These are typical for a civil official of the 60th rank. The hats they use are called futou, and they denote educational status. The futou looked different throughout the history, and this is also reflected in the game. The early imperial officials wear a zhangxiao putou, meaning spread horn head cover, and in the 3rd age they wear a zhangqi futou, typical from the Ming Dynasty. The Song Dynasty began in 960 and lasted until 1279. Technology, science, philosophy, mathematics, and engineering flourished during the Song era. The Song Dynasty was the first in world history to issue banknotes, or true paper money, and the first Chinese government to establish a permanent standing navy. In the game, the Song Dynasty unlocks a villager production time reduced by 55%, unlocks the 2 new crossbowmen, and the village building, which supports 40 population. The bonus of faster villager production can be explained by the prosperous economy during the Song Dynasty. This period was marked by sustained growth in population and per capita income, a structural change in economy and increased technological innovation, improvements in farming and iron and steel production, gunpowder, water-powered clocks, use of coal as a fuel were some of the most important technological innovations. A unified tax system and efficient trade routes meant the development of a nationwide market. These changes led some historians to call Song China an early modern economy centuries before Western Europe made its breakthrough. I believe this economic boon is the reason behind the faster villager production. The Zhuge is a repeating crossbow unit in the game, but actually this is the name of the crossbow itself. It was a small weapon invented somewhere between 475 and 220 BC that scholars and women could use in self-defense. They were by themselves generally weak and required additional poison for lethality. During the Ming Dynasty, these repeating crossbows were also used on ships. It had an effective range of 70 meters, and its short range limited its usage to primarily defensive positions. The villages in the game refer to the unique Hakka villages Fujian to Lou, which could have the circular defense structure. These are a large, multi-family structure that is designed as a large fortress to be easily defensible. You can also see one of these in the Mulan movie released in 2020. After reading about them, I must say that I am impressed by the developers' decisions to make them as a non-aggressive building. It was common to see turrets built in these villages to extend the range of defensive power. Furthermore, battlements were also constructed on the top floor for muskets. Would be awesome if they could shoot enemies in the game, just like the Chinese town center. I don't think this would make the civ overpowered, since they would still be weaker than improved outposts, and the defensive landmark Barbican of the Sun is also not that strong. After decades of conflict, in 1279, the Mongol-led Yuan army crushed the Song. The Yuan Dynasty was a successor state to the Mongol Empire. A game where China during the Yuan Dynasty plays against the Mongols could actually be considered a civil war. In the game, your villagers, officials, and military units get 15% more speed, the Granary building and the Fire Lancer cavalry units are unlocked. In the game, Granaries improve the farm-gather rate of nearby villagers by 15%. You can build 3 of them and the bonus is stacked with other granaries. During the Yuan Dynasty, several granaries were ordered built throughout the whole empire to provide in case of famine. The fire lance was a gunpowder weapon ancestor of modern firearms. It first appeared in the 10th-12th century China and was composed by a pyrotechnic device attached to a pole-arm weapon, used to gain a shock advantage at the start of a melee. It was later modified to contain debris or pellets, giving it a somewhat effect of a combination of a modern flamethrower and shotgun, with a short range and a single shot. By the late 13th century, they were further improved and became the first hand cannons. The Ming Dynasty, or the Great Ming, was the ruling dynasty in China from 1368 to 1644, following the collapse of the Mongol-led Yuan Dynasty. In the game, unlocking this dynasty gives you military units 10% more health, and you get access to the Grenadier and the Pagoda building. I think the military bonus may come from the fact that during the Ming Dynasty, secretaries and ministries were founded. One of these ministries was the Ministry of War. The Pagoda building returns 50 of each resource every 30 seconds in the game. The real pagoda is a tiered tower with multiple eaves that have a religious function. The origin of the pagoda can be traced to the stupa, a dome-shaped monument used as a commemorative monument to house sacred relics and writings. A fun fact for you: some people believed that reverencing at pagodas could bring good luck to students taking the Chinese civil service examinations. In 1210, a pagoda of Yihuan County collapsed, and local inhabitants believed the disaster correlated with the recent failure of many exam candidates to the examinations. After its reconstruction, a list containing the names of all recent successful examination candidates was inscribed on it, in hopes it would win the supernatural favor. Although the Grenadier is not a special Chinese unit per se, the concept of throwing grenades comes from the Ming Dynasty. The use of this weapon was reported to have been mainly by Chinese soldiers on the Great Wall. Also in the game, this is one of the most efficient important positions for this unit. Let's now start with the Chinese landmarks. The Imperial Academy makes all buildings within its vicinity to return 100% more tax in gold. I think this building was based on the Biyong, the Imperial Lecture Hall in Beijing, Guozishan, translated as Imperial College or Imperial Academy. Located in Beijing, this academy was the national central institution of higher learning in Chinese dynasty. It was shut down in 1905, and its education functions were mainly replaced by the now known Peking University. The gates are also similar to the structures in front of the landmark in the game. The Barbican of the Sun, also known by many as the Barbecue of the Sun, is a defensive landmark. It fires a long-range hand cannon, and when garrisoned, it fires arrows as well. This building was easier to identify. It was definitely based on the Tang, literally meaning Gate of the Zenith Sun. It was a gate in Beijing's historical city wall that guarded the entry into the imperial city. It was built only during the Ming Dynasty, but the similarities are undeniable here. This gate was not just a gatehouse, but also an archery tower, and had a defensive purpose, like in the game. Besides, a Barbican is a fortified outpost or gateway connected to walls or other defensive structures. The Gate of the Zenith Sun was originally connected by side walls, forming a large Barbican. The Astronomical Clocktower is a landmark that acts as a siege workshop and produces siege engines with 50% more health. That's why China's siege units are so strong. This is one of the strongest landmarks among all civilizations for late games. This building is based on the hydromechanical astronomical clock tower created by the engineer Su Song during the Song Dynasty. The world's oldest illustrated depiction of an endless power transmitting chain drive is from Su Song's work and was used in this clockwork. He built this clock for the Emperor of China, and it could tell the time of the day as well as the day of the month and the phases of the moon. The Imperial Palace is a landmark that has a large sight radius and an ability that when activated reveals all the locations of all enemy villagers for 10 seconds. I might be wrong about this one. I wasn't able to find something that fits perfectly in here, but I believe that it might have been designed based on the Summer Palace at the top of the Fragrant Hills in Beijing. Fragrant Hills is a park and former imperial garden that was expanded during the Yuan and Ming dynasties. The Summer Palace is in UNESCO's World Heritage List as a masterpiece of Chinese landscape garden design. The lake surrounding the palace was entirely man-made, and the excavated soil was used to build the Longevity Hill. I'm actually not sure about this one, but if you know a different building that might actually be the inspiration for this one, let me know in the comments below. The Great Wall Gatehouse is a landmark that increases the health of stone walls and gates by 100%, and troops nearby deal 50% more damage. The real gatehouses were the strongest and most impregnable structures on the Great Wall. That little house on top of it acted as watchtowers. Due to this fact, I think it would even make sense for this landmark to be able to shoot enemies like the keeps do. But anyway, parts of the wall were built as early as the 700 BC, but the best known sections were built during the Ming Dynasty, making this one a perfect landmark for the Ming Dynasty in the game. The Spirit Way is a landmark that removes the effects of losing dynasties units when switching dynasties, so you're able to produce any of the past units. Also, any building in its vicinity produces dynasty units at 30% reduction in costs. A Spirit Way is the ornate road leading to a Chinese tomb. The Spirit Way is lined on both sides by a succession of statues and pillars. These statues can depict real and mythical animals as well as civilians and military officials. Regarding the building design, I went through a list of mausoleums complexes connected to spirit ways. However, it's not easy or even possible to find pictures of all of them. Based on what I could find, I would say it could have been inspired by the Ming Xiaoling, or Mausoleum of Ming. This is the mausoleum of the Hongwu Emperor, the founder of the Ming Dynasty. Due to this fact, I think it even makes sense to have this structure as a landmark for the Imperial Age. It's possible to find these lions and these human-like figures in the Ming Spirit Way. The gate also has 3 doors. However, I think that the little house at the end of the landmark might have some influence from the Cao mausoleum style. The wonder is definitely based on the Forbidden City in Beijing. The Forbidden City was constructed from 1406 to 1420 and was the former Chinese imperial palace and residence of the Emperor of China from the Ming Dynasty. The double-eaved structure you see in the wonder is the Palace of Heavenly Purity, or Qianqing Palace, the largest of the 3 halls of the Forbidden City inner court. The hall has 9 rooms and 27 beds, and for security reasons, every single night, the emperor would sleep in a different bed. The Nest of Bees is a unique Chinese siege unit based on the Yi Wong Feng, a 32-shot multiple rocket launcher. The Nest of Bee carries 32 full-size Shenji Xian rockets, also called Divine Engine Arrow. This weapon got its name not just from the swarm of rockets it can unleash, but also from its hexagonal wooden rocket pod. When these pods are stored together, they look like a beehive. The Palace Guard unit is based on the real Imperial Guards, who were responsible for guarding the Forbidden City, the Emperor, and the Emperor's family. Finally, the Chinese also have the unique junk ship. The junk is a type of Chinese sailing ship with fully bathonet sails. The name comes from the junk rig present in the ships. That's it for this video. Please like the video if you enjoy it and subscribe to the channel to see more of this content. I wish you a lovely rest of the day and see you in the next video. Bye!